WUTT-TV presents Royal Hacks. This week's activity is being demonstrated by Taylor Chamblee.
Hi, welcome. Today I will be showing you how to create a tutu and a little crown for all those perfect little ones in your life. As you can see here, I have already pre-made one. This is a Spider-Man crown and tutu that I made for my nephew because I know he'll try and steal my niece's. So we're going to start with, you can just look up a simple chart online and it'll give you base measurements that you can use to make depending on your child's age. For a 2-year-old, generally this says 18 to 19 inches, and I'm going to do about 20 inches so that way I have enough room for sewing it together. And then for the length of the tool, you can look it up and there are different ones. Sometimes they'll tell you if you want it for T length or full length. I decided to do a 14-inch length, which should be about T length, which is going to be 28, and I'm actually going to do 29.5 inches, so that way I have a little knotting room. And then you can just make notes, and when you're cutting the tulle strips, you can tally how many strips you have. So I'm going to start by taking my measuring tool and measuring out about 20 inches. Giving myself a little extra room so that way it doesn't twist and fall. Okay, and there's 20 right there. Then I'm going to grab my elastic right here. Just going to unroll it a bit and line it up. Go to the 20-inch mark. And you're probably going to have to do it twice depending on the thickness of your elastic. There are a lot of different kinds of elastic. I think it's about a 1/2 inch. I thought it was a pretty good one. But you can also, if you have a child that likes wider waistbands, then you could get wider ones, but you would want to make more room for the knotting. And they also have ones that are just essentially strings, which I imagine people use those for hair bands, and I do not suggest using that for a tutu because it would be very, very hard to make sure the knotting is all even. I'm going to put that away. And then, so you have your thing, and you're going to put it like this. And you're going to get out your handy dandy little tiny sewing kit. You're going to get one of your needles that doesn't already have string on it. Because if you're like me, you multitask on all your things and never take the string off. Since I'm using white elastic, I'm just going to use white thread. I almost called it white yarn, which it is not yarn. Just get out a good amount. I say better to have more than to have too little, so I probably go a little overboard in how much thread I pull out. Put it in that little knob there. Find out whichever side will be better for putting it through the needle. And thread your needle, maybe. Ta-da. And so you tie it always. I know a lot of people, they only knot it once because they want to make it easier to get off. I knot it twice because I have bad luck, and anytime I only knot it once, it comes undone. So I suggest just knotting it once. And then you do that. So I did it twice. I have a different one to show you later. So you knot this one, knot it twice until you can pull it through, and you start stitching it together. We're going to go to commercial, but afterwards I'm going to show you guys the waistband and how to put it all together.
I really wish palettes could clean themselves. Acrylic just dries way too fast. I swear it's a conspiracy.
Well, why don't you just use Easy Clean palettes?
Oh, wow.
welcome back. I was just showing you guys cutting up your elastic and pulling it all together, and as you can see, I have threaded this all up, and you just do an essential. Sewing is really simple, and just you do it like that, you pull it through, maybe, like I said. Sewing does not always agree with me. But then when you want to make a knot, I like to leave the needle on because it makes it easier for me. You just make your knot and pull it down. Maybe. It does not like me today. There we go. And I generally just pull your finger down here so that way you can adjust your knot and get it as close as possible. But if it's not as far down as you want it, that's fine, because if it comes loose, that's why you do the stitching a billion times over. And you just do it until you get a good few knots there. And then once you do have your knots all done, you just snip it. Doesn't matter if there's some left over there, it's going to get hidden by tool. So for the tool, like I said, we're doing 14 inches, which means I'm going to do 29.5. And you just take your color, whatever colors you want. I'm doing purple and white, and you just measure it out. Make sure you have enough space in your ruler. You just do this and do it this way. It makes it easier to cut. Get to 29.5 and just cut. And you do this. I start out with about 15 for each color and go from there. You can always add more. And then I also did white because I think they're pretty colors. What am I doing? This is right here, up here. Oh yeah. And I've already pre-cut a whole bunch of tulle. So you take your tulle and your elastic band, and depending on what way you want to do it, you pull it like this. You put doing a basic loop knot. And you have your two things, and you pull it together. Straighten it out. And once you get one on, the rest of them become a bit easier. And so I like to do alternating ones. You could do half and half. But I just did alternate, just like I did for this one. So I'm going to pull out one of my white pieces of tulle and go under and pull it through again. And you just keep doing this until your entire thing is covered. I think for this one, I probably ended up using about 20 of each, somewhere around there. This one will be a little bit less since it's a few inches smaller in circumference, because I made this one for my 4-year-old nephew and this one's for my 2-year-old niece. But yes, you just keep doing that. I'm doing it this way. And just keep track of which way you're doing it, so that way you don't have one end sticking down, one end sticking up. And if you do it too tight and awkwardly, you can slide it over. It's the beauty of tulle and not actually tying it. It would be relatively easy to undo. I'm going to move on from this for a little bit to show you guys the this little crown right here. You can stick in your head. And I am doing, since this one's for my niece, I'm going to make it a little sparkly because she's very sparkly. So essentially what you're going to want to do is you're just going to tape these on. You're going to cut this into triangles, just mark your triangles and cut. And put it all together, poke holes in it, and you stick a thing through it and you're done. That's it. We'll see you next week on Royal Hacks.